Okay, so we're going to start the session with our 3D shoulder rotations. So externally rotate the arm and draw the rotation round in front of you. Once the arm's overhead, it should be in neutral. Here you're going to internally rotate the arm to then extend the arm behind you. Once your hand's in line with your pocket, you reverse the process, try and hold that internal rotation as best you can. Once the arm's in neutral over your head, you externally rotate and then draw that rotation in front of your body. Repeat this, so a total of 3 reps on both sides. So make sure you don't run into any sort of areas of pain or pinching, so just bypass that range of movement if that's the case. It wants to be a nice smooth rotation, and try and feel like the upper arm inside the shoulder joint is doing all of the movement here. So no pain, no pinching, and a nice clean rotation inside the shoulder joint. Okay, so exactly the same on the other side, so make sure you lock the whole body down and you try not to move anything else other than the shoulder joint. So think about the upper arm inside that shoulder socket doing all the movement and all the rotation. Once you're done, just have a bit of a move around, try and loosen off, and then we're going to set up for our T-spine segmentation. So here you're going to give yourself a hug, lock yourself in position, and then we're going to go into flexion through the T-spine and then coming up into extension. So try and lock everything else in the body so it's just coming from your T-spine. So segmentation into flexion and then segmentation coming back up into extension. Okay, so once you've done 4 reps of that, just have a bit of a move around again. Same setup position, but this time you're going to go into lateral flexion extension. So lock everything down and just try and move over to the side, just moving your T-spine. So try and sort of use your rib cage as a reference point, and that's the thing that's going to move from left to right. Again, 4 repetitions. And then our last plane of motion is rotation. So trying to keep the hips locked down, so don't let them drag from left to right. You're going to rotate 4 times. Again, have a bit of a move around, and then we're going to put it all together now into our 3D T-spine rotation. So you're going to go starting into flexion, and then rotation, side bend, and then extension and rotation all the way around to the opposite side, where you'll end up in a side bend, rotate round to the middle, and then extend back up to the top. And then you'll go through this again in the other direction. So flexion down, rotation, a side bend, extension and rotation all the way around just through the T-spine, end up in a side bend on the opposite side, rotate back to the middle, and extend up to the top. Once you've done that, you can have a bit of a move around, so give yourself a bit of a rest. You're going to do exactly the same for another 2 reps. So really important here to make sure that your hips stay in the same position throughout, and you try not to dominate the extension pattern in your lower back. So you're just trying to move the rib cage around as much as you can. So try and have that T-spine, so the upper part of your back doing all the movement here as best as you can. Okay, so the next movement we'll go into is our spine segmentation, but before we set up, you can just get yourself into your rest position. So you sit yourself back, arms out in front, and just trying to have a bit of a move around in our rest position. So for your spine segmentation, you're going to go into a normal all-fours position, so hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and you're going to start in flexion. So you're going to bring your back up as high as you can, so find that full flexion position. And then working from the bottom up, you're going to try and extend your vertebrae piece by piece. So working from the tailbone all the way through to the base of your neck, you're going to try and work into extension. So once you finish, you should just have your head slightly lifted up, and then you're going to reverse it and then work into flexion. So tucking the tailbone underneath you and then trying to individually separate your vertebrae all the way up to the base of your neck. You'll do another run of each, so going from flexion into extension, nice and controlled all the way through, trying to work each individual vertebrae as best you can. And you should end up in your start position of flexion. So all the way through, nice and controlled, all the way up into flexion. Once you've done that, you can have a bit of a move around and just do some hip drops, so just roll your hips from side to side. If you need to, you can go into your rest position of sitting back and give your wrists a bit of a rest. And then you're going to set yourself up for one more set of 4 total runs. So from flexion to extension, extension to flexion, and then that again. So same setup position. Really take your time, nice and slow and controlled, and try not to get your spine moving in big chunks. So try and individually work them as best as you can. Once you've done that, do another set of hip drops, so just rolling from side to side. You can go back into your normal rest position as well, just to extend back. And we're going to do another movement in all fours here, so I'd suggest giving your wrists a bit of a rest. So your resting position for your wrists is just to put them into flexion and just give them a bit of a breather. So once you've done your normal resting position, you can sit back, just get your wrists into a flex position. And then you're going to set up in all fours again, and we're going to go through our 3D hip rotation. So here you're going to lift the leg, bring it up to flexion, and then you're going to abduct it out to the side. Here you're going to internally rotate, so try and bring the foot up nice and high, and then draw a circle back all the way around, and then straighten the leg and bring it in almost to your start position. Then you'll reverse the process. So here you're going to try and hold an internal rotation of the hip, and then let it unwind out to the side. Bring it back to the middle, you should end up in your start position. So you're going to do a total of 3 full rotations here before having a bit of a breather. So maintain a really nice strong posture throughout, So don't let your lumbar spine start to extend too much. Try and get all the movement coming from your hip joint. Once you've had a bit of a rest, you're going to set up on the other side and do the same again. So 3 full repetitions of your 3D hip rotations. Okay, so once you've had a bit of a rest, so back in your rest position, giving your wrists a bit of a breather, we're going to set up to do a 3D active stretch of our hip flexors. So here it's a half kneeling position. We're going to ensure that we keep our hips tucked underneath us so we don't hyperextend our back. You're going to get into your end range position, and then we're going to start off going forwards and backwards, actively pulling and pushing to try and open up the hip flexors as best we can. So try not to use any momentum. Try and push and pull as actively as you can for 10 repetitions. Okay, once you've done, make sure your hips are set again, so tucked underneath you, and you're going to go laterally. So side to side, again pulling and pushing in that end range position. Once you've done your 10 reps, you're going to set up for your last plane of motion, and you're going to go into rotations. Again, keeping the hips tucked underneath you all the way through, and then rotating from top down, so your upper body is going to be the driver, and you're going to do 10 repetitions in total. Once you've done that, you just switch over, set yourself up on the other side, and do the same again. So you've got front to back for 10 reps, side to side, and then your rotations. Okay, and to finish the session, you'll just go from your rest position, and then you'll extend your hips through, lift your chest up, and then just exchange between those positions 2 or 3 times, and your session is done.